Jrue Holiday actually practiced with the Boston Celtics, what that means for his immediate future. Plus, mailbag questions. Can the Celtics get in on the Kevin Durant trade sweepstakes? It's all right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Yup. Beantown, be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Back to back, if I say it, it's stamped. Locked on number 19, the best one, the next one. Juice loose in your pool now for the next run. It's the C's, who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT, Karalis, recap the madness. Every game, every practice. Best daily pod, no cap like Brad Beckett. Clutch like Drew to KP, tap in daily. Primetime dapping D White on the sideline. Raining Jace, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. As my mic goes crazy, I'm sorry, the levels are a little off, but I'm fixing that now. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. I'm here for you Monday through Friday, plus bonus podcasts on the weekends when they play, like this Saturday night. They play the Los Angeles Lakers on Saturday night. So I'll be there, late game, late podcast. But that's all right, because I'm here for you. Podcast drops directly to your device if you subscribe. So do that. Get into the YouTube page. Watch the show there. Get into the comments section. Let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the show, I am John Karalis, and I have been covering the Boston Celtics for, about 20 years now. And it's been a fun ride. The last few years have been on Boston Sports Journal. So go check out my work there. Please go check out my Payton Pritchard story. Boston Sports Journal is a subscription service, but the Payton Pritchard story that I did is free for everybody. It is Payton Pritchard talking to me about his ability to create space, getting into the lane, bump, and putting up the shot, and then how that sets up his step back, that crazy step back that he does that is legal. It is not a travel. I explain in that piece why it's not a travel. It's a one-on-one discussion with Payton Pritchard about his ability, the people, the greats before him that taught him these moves, that he studied to learn these moves. So I hope you enjoy that story. It is free for everybody on Boston Sports Journal. So go check it out if you like it there. Hopefully you pay to subscribe and enjoy my work there. If you do subscribe, let them know that you're there for me as well. Kind of, a little boost for my boss. Today, later on, we'll get into mailbag questions, which have some fun. What it's like to podcast in an empty arena, plus nicknames for Jayson Tatum, a Kevin Durant trade idea. Is that even possible? And a whole lot more. But I want to start here with the Celtics did have practice on Tuesday, and there were a couple of updates. Most importantly, Jrue Holiday. Joe Mazzulla said that he went through the walkthrough. He went through the film session. He's there. He went through practice. He shot. He went through everything. Quote, Joe Mazzulla, he went through everything. Now, is that a misleading quote? I don't know. I don't know how hard they went. They probably didn't go very hard. It's basically probably a low-intensity practice where these practices at this point in the season, it's just cleanup stuff, right? You go into the film session, you pick 2-3 things that they really want to hammer home. You go out, you do some drills, you do some work on those 2-3 things. It's not super high intensity, and you go, and then guys do their individual stuff. You lift, you work on individual, whatever shooting drills you want to do. You do put in some effort. You do work up a sweat, but this isn't the up and down 2-hour crazy practice where guys are working their butts off and sweating like crazy. This is much, much lighter work. So to say Jrue Holiday went through a full practice, it is a tiny bit misleading because it wasn't a full-on basketball practice that you might think. But Joe did say that playing against the Blazers was a possibility. He said that earlier in the morning. It does not seem like a possibility, but he said he was able to go through practice. He was able to go through his shooting routine and go through his individual workout. So, again, don't know what that means entirely. Is it a shooting routine that he normally goes through? What kind of shooting routine is it? Is it a modified shooting routine? It's one of those, you give the update and it sounds like a great update, but it's also phrased in a certain way And I still don't know exactly how long Holiday will be out. But, however, the Celtics injury report listed him as doubtful and not out necessarily. So he's doubtful. Also, Kristaps Porzingis, sick, also doubtful. So that must be a really bad flu that he got because it seems to be knocking him on his butt. But not necessarily out, which is good. It's not that it leaves a possibility of him. I don't know what the percentage is, but the possibility of him playing is somewhat there. And if it's not this game, it could be a game coming up. So I don't know what the Jrue Holiday, how long that's going to take. As I said after the last game, when he spoke in the locker room, it would probably be a little bit of time for him to get comfortable with however that splint is and the pinky having to stay straight. It's probably not the easiest thing in the world and probably comes with its own different challenges. If you're playing basketball and you're used to, gripping a ball, if that one pinky is out and you try to do a certain thing, very easy for someone to catch it. You don't realize it. Have you ever rearranged the furniture in your house after a long time and then you keep like stubbing your toe on something or you keep walking into something? You're like, why is this thing there? You have this muscle memory of things that are in the place that they're supposed to be. Okay, here's a good example. In my car, the other day I brought a big monster, stupid 80 whatever ounce thing. So I had water with me and I put it in my car and it had a straw in it. And just me doing stuff like reaching for the radio or hitting a button or putting something down in the car. I kept knocking that stupid straw because it's never there. But I just kept hitting it. It kept getting caught in my sleeve. That's the thing that you're at risk of when you're Jrue Holiday and that pinky is stinking out there. If that pinky is sticking out, you don't know what you're going to get it caught on somebody's jersey. You got to be careful. So I still am not entirely sold on him just jumping right back out there and playing. It does come with its own set of danger. You catch that on something, you sprain that finger, you get a whole other issue. And that goes beyond the mallet finger at the top. You sprain that, it goes down into the hand. It's his shooting hand. You got to be careful. I don't know, maybe you tape it to the other finger somehow to keep it from flying out. Maybe that's how you do it. But they're going to have to get a little creative. So we'll see. We'll see with Jrue Holiday. We also got a little bit of an introduction to Miles Norris, who is the new two-way guy. I said after the last game that they waived Anton Watson. They signed Miles Norris. He has a connection. He went to a prep school, I believe, in New Hampshire and played a season with Payton Pritchard in Oregon. So there's a little bit of, familiarity with at least Payton Pritchard. Not that any other guys. It's funny. Sam Hauser was asked if he knew Miles Norris. He's like, nope. Have you ever seen him play? Nope. So he's new to the team. We'll see. He's a big dude who can shoot the ball a little bit, 39% three-point shooter. So yeah, we'll see. He's a two-way guy. Anton Watson just got picked up by the Knicks. So could be an interesting situation there. Be interesting if they develop him into something. I know somebody's going to be watching his development. If he ends up getting rotation minutes for the Knicks in the next few years, somebody's going to bring that up, I'm sure. So that's your practice update. Not much. The Jrue Holiday stuff is the big thing. I'm very curious. I don't know what to expect with a mallet finger recovery, but Jrue is a gamer, man. He's tough. And I just want to make sure that he's obviously protected in the ways that people may not even think out there. I'd rather him miss a bunch. Look, the Blazers are in town. It's the front end of a back-to-back. The injury report is long, by the way. The Celtics injury report, Jaylen Brown, questionable. Jayson Tatum, questionable. Holiday, doubtful. Porzingis, doubtful. Derek White and Payton Pritchard are on there. back, a hip, probable. So I don't even almost don't count them, but it's worth watching. So I think, and it's funny, Jaylen's on there for an illness, not even the knee. Sit Jaylen down, sit Jrue down, sit Porzingis down. It's the Blazers number one. The Blazers are playing in the third game in 4 nights. The first game was an overtime game in Cleveland on Sunday. They just beat the Philadelphia 76ers, who hasn't beaten the 76ers lately. And now they're coming in here to play Boston on the third game in 4 nights. And then they play at OKC on Friday. Oh my God. They might lose by 100 on Friday. Oh, wow. I suddenly feel really bad for them. But rest everybody. The Celtics should still have a decently, I hesitate to say this, easy time against the Blazers in the 3rd and 4. I don't think the Blazers are a resilient group, resilient enough to power through that. So hopefully that's enough. You can play Tatum on Thursday or on Wednesday, sit him on Thursday, get Jaylen back, and just do it that way. All right, let's get into the mailbag. We've got a few mailbag questions. It's a great opportunity to open up the mailbag. We'll come back. We'll have some fun games with nicknames. But how about the Kevin Durant? Kevin Durant is going to get traded from the Phoenix Suns. Can the Celtics get in on it? It's next. Today's show is brought to you by Open Phone. Running a small business means you are wearing a lot of hats. I know this for sure. Your personal phone becomes your business phone. Before you know it, you're juggling customer calls all day long, all night. As your team grows, it becomes impossible to manage everything with just your personal number. And that's where Open Phone comes in, the number one business phone system designed to help you keep your work and personal life separate. That is so important. And it's just going to cost you $15 a month. That's worth it. The cost of a few coffees, you get a complete transparency and visibility into everything happening with your business phone number. Open Phone works through an app on your phone or on your computer and integrates with tools like HubSpot and hundreds of others. It also uses AI-powered call transcripts and summaries, so you'll have a rundown of your calls and action items the second you hang up. If you miss a call, no problem. Automated messages are sent directly to your customer, ensuring you never miss an opportunity to engage. Right now, Open Phone is offering 20% off your first 6 months when you go to openphone.com/lockedonnba. That's Open Phone, OPENPHONE.com/lockedonnba for 20% off 6 months. Openphone.com/lockedonnba. And if you have existing numbers with another service, Open Phone will port them over, no extra charge. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go subscribe, please, to the new newsletter that we've got on LockedOnDaily.com. It's LockedOnDaily.com. Click on the Locked On Celtics logo. Enter your email, and I will send you an email Monday through Friday with Celtics, NBA, and fantasy coverage. The NBA and fantasy coverage from around the Locked On Podcast Network. Really good stuff there. Links to your favorite Celtics stories around the web. If you miss a podcast, it's a great way to keep up. So please do that. All right, let's get into the mailbag, which you can send your questions in to johnkaralis.com/mailbag. johnkaralis.com/mailbag. It's the only way I can answer these questions. It's the only place I see the questions. So go ahead and send those in there. Let's start with Matt, who asks, and this is appropriate after yesterday's podcast, what does Tatum need to do in order to be seriously considered for MVP awards? He's a perennial candidate, but by midseason, he's written off in serious MVP contention. Ugh, I can spit that out. So what does he really need to do? So let's look at the MVP award just as it is. There has to be, I think, some level of newness. Like the more consistent you are, the more you end up getting penalized. And I think there's a tiny bit of that is happening with Tatum. My guess is next season, if somebody like Holiday is gone, the the team is not completely remade, but key guys leave. The Celtics need to save money. They need to get under the second apron. If Tatum continues to pass the way he has, if he averages, 28, 8, and 7, then he starts to get a little bit more into the, if he starts to flirt with triple doubles, people love triple doubles. Triple doubles get you attention. They get you onto the scoreboards, onto the, all the little places where someone who might be a voter who's busy might see it, be like, oh, headline, Tatum near triple double. Like, oh, wow, he's having a lot of near triple doubles. So you need a little bit of that going on to kind of juice the wheels there a little bit. You need to have people feel like you're the guy. Like, he needs to be the guy. And Jaylen takes some of the shine away in that regard, which helps the Celtics win. And we don't want that to change. But as an MVP, it needs to be even more clear that Tatum is, if he's going to get it, it needs to be very clear. Like, he is kind of like the engine. Like Denver, there's no one is even close to Jokic. OKC, no one is even close to SGA. So Jaylen is close to Jayson Tatum, right? He's an all NBA level player, and he was the MVP of the final 2 rounds last year. So that needs to kind of come into play. I feel like in the next year or two, if he's averaging those numbers that I mentioned, the Celtics are losing players and they're still winning, he starts to get a little bit more consideration. And if there is no other surprise, even SGA and OKC is the best, has the best record in the league. And you can't have that. And that becomes the shiny object that everybody focuses on. It's even distracting from Jokic, who's having the best season ever, minus the Wilt Chamberlain years. People love that shiny new object. So you can't have an obvious team that's running away with the league, a 65-win team that has an obvious guy that is the engine that makes them go. That's another thing that you got to fight. So you need some luck. Eventually, I think there's going to be a lifetime achievement award going in Tatum's way. I do think he's going to end up with an MVP somewhere here. If the Celtics are good over the next few years and there is no head and shoulder competition against him, you might see hey, this is the year to give it to Tatum, because he may never win it again after this. So that might be the boat that he ends up in. Brandon says, a lot of people are aware this may be Holiday's last year, especially if we don't win the championship. Trading away and cutting salary could be tough. Could Durant in his final year be a realistic option for the Celtics? No. And I hate to be so definitive, but no. And here's why. It's a financial thing. They both are over the second apron. And the second apron rules are you have to match dollar for dollar. And the Celtics and the Suns don't have 2 players making the exact same amount of money. It's if one of the teams was under the apron, then the team under the apron has a little bit more flexibility. But for the Celtics to get under the apron, they have to trade away, let's say, Holiday in this scenario. And you're saying Holiday would be the guy that you send out. The Celtics would have to get rid of Holiday and then separately find a package of multiple players, because the second apron team cannot aggregate players either. They cannot combine, for example, this question suggests Durant, Grayson Allen, or Royce O'Neal for a combination of Celtics, but you cannot aggregate players as a second apron team. So Boston cannot trade Jrue Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis for Durant and somebody. That you can't do that. You can trade 1 for 2, but you can't trade 2 for 1 or 2 for 2. You cannot aggregate. It's got to be a 1 for 1. The money has to match exactly or be a little bit less or be less. That's it. So Boston as a second apron team can trade away Jrue Holiday and take back 2 players who combined for less than Holiday. You can do that, but they can't trade Holiday and get back. They can't trade Holiday and somebody else to get back 1 player. Not until you get under the second apron. Weird, stupid rules, but that eliminates the Celtics from contention unless you build a very weird multiple team trade, and it would have to get super, super creative. So I don't even know how it would work. And I don't even actually know if it's theoretically possible, but I haven't even looked to see how possible it is. Sending out, but the only way it's possible, as I'm thinking it through, is to trade Jayson Tatum, because he's the only one who makes anything close to Durant's money. Because again, you cannot aggregate players, so you can't send out Holiday here and Porzingis there. You're aggregating. That you can't do that. So Kevin Durant is out. One more real quick. Houston says, you know who would have been helpful in the clutch against the Cavs? Jaden Springer. Was it a mistake to trade him so we could get Craig, who only played 3 minutes with no significant impact in the game? No, because I don't think Springer would have played. Like, Springer would have played 3 minutes too. I don't think he would have played. They got Torrey Craig. I'm fine with the move. I don't think, I understood, and I was argued for keeping Springer, and yeah, maybe he would have helped. But that starts a domino effect. I don't even want to get into that. They got Torrey Craig. I don't think it was a mistake. Craig is a bigger player. He just needs to get acclimated, and Joe Mazzulla needs to trust him. That's it. He needs to play him and trust him and let him play through some things. And that's it. To me, that's the end of the story. Play Torrey Craig more. That's the answer to the Cleveland question. It shouldn't be, I wouldn't say they should have kept Jaden Springer. I'm saying they just should have played Torrey Craig more. And that's how it should have gone. Let's have some fun questions, including player nicknames. One for Jayson Tatum, and podcasting in a big empty Celtics arena, which is fun. All right, that's next. Today's show is brought to you by BetterHelp. Who is in your support system? We all need people to lean on, whether it's friends, family, mentors, or professionals. Even the strongest leaders and athletes know that asking for help makes them better. That is 100% true. Therapy is one of the best ways to build a strong support system. It's not just for tough times, although it can be. It helps with setting boundaries. It helps with your developing coping skills and becoming the best version of yourself. I have gone through therapy. I'm very open about my journey through therapy. And, I find myself saying, like, even now, I probably could benefit from going back and just every once in a while, sometimes even as you navigate life, just talking through some things, and it helps you feel better, right? You just, you can deal with a crisis, but stress management, right? Just decision making every day, things that bug you, and you're like, maybe just some perspective on things that are bothering you, and you realize what's really important and what's not. Build your support system with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Please subscribe to the Locked On NBA podcast. The Locked On NBA game night is 7 days a week, covering every game in the association. Normally, I'm there on Fridays after you're covering the Thursday night games, but the Celtics play on Thursday night at home, so I won't be there for this week's show. But Jake Madison will be there, and whoever's filling in is going to be great because we have great hosts across the network. And you have a midday Locked On NBA show that covers all the big stories. So go check that out as well. Two podcasts on the feed. So worth your time. Back to the mailbag again, johnkaralis.com/mailbag for questions to come in. Andrew, we're having fun in the third segment. Andrew asks, how should Luke Cornett feel about being in the poster for the highest scoring dunk, 118.2, this new dunk meter thing, on NBA.com? Now, let me see. I haven't even checked. Oh, that's the Quentin Grimes dunk on Luke Cornett. So how should he feel? Well, I think he should feel like proud of himself for going up to challenge that. I'm watching the play right now. Quentin Grimes gets the ball curling off the left side, goes down the middle. Luke Cornett comes over to help, and he gets dunked on. So Luke should be proud that he was willing to risk being dunked on to go up and try to block the shot. A good shot blocker does not care about being on that poster. He's probably like, yeah, you got me. That's, congratulations. You have to have that attitude to be a shot blocker. If you're going to go up and challenge shots, if your job is to defend the rim, sorry, buddy, get ready to learn posterization because you're going to get dunked on. You're going to be in that high dunk score. And that's how it's going to. Every shot blocker gets dunked on. Rudy Gobert, Jaylen Brown caught him hard. Guys love to try to dunk on Gobert. Victor Wembanyama, big target to dunk on Wembanyama. I forget who actually did it, but people are gonna catch Wemby too. So be proud that you're doing your job. So I salute Luke Cornett. Andrew says, people say player nicknames happen organically. I vehemently disagree. I think I have one for Tatum. I'm hoping you can promote it. The Proof. Okay. Andrew says it's perfect. The perfect sequel to Paul Pierce, The Truth, and it works for Tatum. Not about flashy play, trash talking, or making the highlight reel. He's just a quiet, durable leader that plays versatile, fundamental basketball, and he wins. So, okay, fair enough. And the Proof's not bad. I am, first of all, I am a fan of Player A. I think that's one of those organic things that did come up, and I like it. As I said in yesterday's podcast, I like it. The Proof as a sequel to The Truth, too tied to another player to me. I don't know. I'm not sure. But people, look, if you're still listening to the show and you want to get in the comment section and have some a debate on The Proof, go for it. Not my cup of tea. Not exactly feeling that one, but I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. But Player A, just I know how nicknames happen, and somebody just says something off the cuff generally, and it sticks so often. It just happens. You're not even trying, and you're like, boom, that's it. So I'm all in on Player A. Finally, Spencer says, not exactly a serious question, but I am kind of curious. Is it spooky at all doing a podcast in an empty TD Garden? Seems like it would be awesome to have the place to yourself, but at the same time, a little eerie being one of the few people in a building normally full of people. I think it's the coolest thing in the world, man. I think it is awesome. The other day, Sunday, I didn't think the arena was going to be available because they were starting to turn it over and get ready for the hockey, but it was a Sunday evening and they did a bunch, but they didn't do everything. And like all of a sudden everybody left. There is a little bit of an eeriness to it, I guess. but there was nobody around. I'm like, I have this whole floor. There weren't even like media. There was usually people doing other podcasts. It was just me. And like, oh, it's the best. I will, whenever I'm in an arena and I know that the floor is still going to be down, because a lot of these arenas are multi-use. Before I leave, if the arena is still like, if the floor is still down, wherever I am, I go back out and I want to stand there and take in the empty arena. To me, it's like the Coliseum. It's like, I look around and I think they built this so people can watch this game. And I do that. I also do that during the national anthem. When I'm standing there during the national anthem, I'm looking around at the full arena. It's just kind of wild. Everybody's standing, but everybody's standing still. It's not like a crowd during the game where everybody stands up and is cheering and is jumping up and down, his arms and everything waving. Everybody's standing still. So there's a different kind of feeling to it. Everybody's just like, you look and you see like, wow, this is 19,000 people. From my vantage point, I see this little tiny basketball court. I'm like, this is theater. This is, people say cinema. This is it. This is theater right here, man. They're putting on a show, an improvised 48-minute or 2.5 hour in real time show that is just a reaction to whatever's happening on the floor. It's a live action improv basketball show, and no one knows how it's going to end. No one knows what's going to happen when it starts. And it's super cool. But that empty arena, especially when the lights are down, it's my favorite place in the world. It's my absolute favorite place in the world. I could sit there on center court and just look around. I could probably spend hours there, just sitting there, looking around, just being on the court, just soaking it all in. But I'm a nerd when it comes to that stuff. That is my absolute happy place. Just a big empty arena. I always wish there was a basketball there. It's 2 a.m. If you gave me a basketball, I'd probably shoot for an hour. I probably wouldn't leave the building till like past 3 o'clock, 4 a.m. or something. It's great. So, except when the fire alarms are going off and then it gets really loud in there. That's happened before. Because the fire alarms are super loud, because it's supposed to cut through. They're designed to cut through a big screaming crowd. So they're really, really loud. But when the arena is empty, it is piercing and almost dystopian, the voices. And they're like, what is happening? It's weird and freaky. And I'm like, get me out of here. That's the only time I want out of that building. Thanks for submitting your questions. Again, questions for the mailbag, go to johnkaralis.com/mailbag, johnkaralis.com/mailbag to submit your questions for future episodes. I try to get to them when I can. So go ahead and submit those. If you're not subscribed to the show yet, please subscribe. I would love to have you there as a subscriber. That means when I drop a show, it shows up right in your favorite podcasting app. And you can also watch a show on YouTube. Get into the comment section there. I would love to see you share your thoughts and then share the podcast. Tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.